Imagine this. You finally grasp the thing you've chased for years. The dream job, the perfect partner, the unshakable validation. For a moment, the world aligns. But then, like sand slipping through your fingers, the satisfaction dissolves. A new hunger takes its place, sharper than before. You tell yourself, this next thing will be the one that fills the void. But what if it never is? Here lies the paradox. Desire moves us, yet it also enslaves us. The more we feed it, the more it demands. The modern world shouts that fulfillment lies just beyond the next achievement, the next purchase, the next milestone. But what if the truth is far darker? What if desire, by its very nature, cannot be satisfied? Schopenhauer saw it clearly. Human life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom. When we lack what we crave, we suffer. When we obtain it, we grow restless, already searching for the next chase. The question isn't how to get what we want. It's why we want it at all. Think of the last time you achieved something you thought would change everything. Did it? Or did the goalposts shift, leaving you emptier than before? What if the real prison isn't the lack of fulfillment, but the illusion that it exists somewhere out there, waiting to be claimed? This is Schopenhauer's warning. Desire is not a path to happiness, but a cunning tormentor. And the first step to breaking free is to stare, unflinching, into its abyss. The prison of the will, the invisible force that controls you. Why does desire torment us so relentlessly? The answer lies in the very fabric of human consciousness, a flaw woven into our perception, a trick of evolution and society. Schopenhauer called it the will, a blind, ceaseless force driving all life, an insatiable hunger that demands more, always more. It is not rational. It does not care for your happiness. It exists only to perpetuate itself, like a fire that thrives by consuming everything in its path. Modern psychology echoes this. Our brains are wired for seeking, not for finding. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter of desire, spikes not when we attain, but when we anticipate. The chase is the drug. Possession is the come-down. Nietzsche saw it too, calling it the eternal return of the same. The crushing realization that all our struggles, triumphs, and losses might replay infinitely, with no final meaning. Jung warned of the shadow, the part of us that sabotages fulfillment because it thrives on longing, not satisfaction. Even Buddhism identifies tanha, the thirst that can never be quenched, as the root of suffering. Yet society conspires to keep us trapped in this cycle. Consumerism tells us happiness is a product away. Social media turns envy into an addiction. Ambition is glorified, but rarely questioned. Why do you want what you want? Is it truly yours, or was it implanted in you? The deeper horror is this. We are not just slaves to desire. We identify with it. We believe our cravings define us. I want, therefore I am. But what if that is the grand illusion? What if the self you think you are is just a puppet of the will, dancing to a tune you never chose? The trap is invisible because it is not out there. It is in the way we see the world. And the first step to breaking free is to see the bars of the cage. Hedonic treadmill. How desire turns life into a never-ending chase. What happens when an entire civilization is built on the endless pursuit of desire? Look around. The evidence is everywhere, yet we mistake it for progress, for normalcy, even for happiness. The modern world runs on unsatisfied people. Advertisements do not sell products. They sell the ache of incompleteness, convincing you that you are perpetually lacking. Social media is not a gallery of lives, but a marketplace of envy, where everyone performs fulfillment while secretly drowning in comparison. Careers become golden cages, where promotions only widen the gap between what you have and what you should want. Relationships turn into transactions, what can you give me, rather than sanctuaries of presence. Neurologically, we are caught in a feedback loop of diminishing returns. Each new acquisition, each new milestone, delivers less joy than the one before. The brain adapts. What thrilled you yesterday becomes today's baseline and tomorrow's disappointment. This is hedonic adaptation, the cruel law that pleasure fades, leaving only the hunger for more. Culturally, we've turned restlessness into a virtue. Hustle, grind, never settle. These are not mantras of freedom. They are slogans of servitude. The most dangerous lies are the ones we repeat to ourselves. Once I have X, I'll finally be happy. But X keeps changing, and happiness remains always one step ahead, just out of reach. The most tragic consequence? We lose the ability to be here now. The present moment, the only place where life actually happens, becomes a waiting room for some imagined future. We sacrifice our real lives for fantasies that once grasped dissolve like mirages. Schopenhauer's warning grows louder. The more you feed desire, the stronger it becomes, and the emptier you feel. But what if there is a way to step outside this cycle, not by destroying desire, but by seeing it for what it truly is? The art of unwanting, a radical cure for the hungry mind. The solution is not to crush desire. That would be both impossible and inhuman. The rebellion begins when you realize you are not your wants. The moment you observe your cravings with detachment, their power over you weakens. This is the essence of Schopenhauer's wisdom. Not resignation, but awakening. Consider the Buddhist practice of non-attachment, not the absence of desire, but the refusal to be enslaved by it, or the Stoic discipline of amor fati, loving what is, rather than exhausting yourself chasing what could be. Even modern psychology confirms this. Mindfulness, the simple act of witnessing your thoughts without judgment, rewires the brain's craving circuits. The more you observe desire without feeding it, the quieter it becomes. History's freest minds lived this truth. Diogenes owned nothing and feared no king. Kierkegaard found depth in limitation, not accumulation. Van Gogh painted with furious passion, yet wrote, "The more I think it over, the more I feel there is nothing more truly artistic than to love people." These were not men who had everything, but who needed very little. The practical shift is radical, but simple. Interrogate every want. Why do I desire this? Will it truly fulfill me, or is this the will whispering in my ear? Embrace enoughness. Define your own sufficiency, outside society's ever-moving benchmarks. Redirect your energy. Channel desire's fire into creation, rather than consumption. Art, philosophy, service. These are desires that expand, rather than deplete. This is not passive acceptance, but active liberation. The chains are made of thought. The key is awareness. And once you see the mechanism, you can step out of its grip. The liberation of enough. What Schopenhauer knew that you don't, yet. Here is the revelation that changes everything. Desire is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Its relentless whispers are not there to torture you, but to show you what you truly lack. And what you lack is not another object, achievement, or validation. It is the courage to exist fully in the present, without the promise of more. Schopenhauer's pessimism was not the end, but the beginning. When he declared life to be suffering, he was not advocating despair, but clarity. Only when we stop pretending that fulfillment lies in external things can we discover the profound truth. Peace was never something to be acquired. It was always here, buried under layers of conditioned wanting. This is the paradox of liberation. The moment you stop seeking happiness, you find it, not as a permanent state, but as a series of fleeting, ordinary moments, sunlight through leaves, a shared silence, work done for its own sake. These are not rewards for desire, but gifts that exist outside its economy. The final rebellion is this: to want what you already have, to desire less, not more, to see the chase for what it is, a distraction from the unbearable lightness of being. Now look at your life without the filter of craving. What do you see?